Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the book of James. That is season 7, and we're in episode 2. Yesterday we talked about James just right out of the bat saying, "Hello, trouble. Nice to meet you." That is when various trials come to us. So listen in here. This is James chapter 1, verse 2. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces something. What is it? Steadfastness. And steadfastness let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God. What kind of a God? Who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith without doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For a person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. All right, so you obviously know that there's trouble, and one of the goals of trouble is that we use it to achieve a goal. That is perfection, a complete and integrated, a whole life. The problem is we have, when trouble comes, we're tempted to say, oh no, trouble's here. Our wise James here is saying, no, when trouble comes, we're supposed to say, yes, it's a way to achieve a certain goal, to be more mature, but I'm going to need some help. So what is wisdom? Wisdom is knowledge rightly applied to reality. And the first thing he talks about is trials. So is any of you taking care of a 3-year-old, or did you marry another human being, or is there anybody that you need to forgive, or do you have legal troubles or financial strain? The point is, all these things of reality, all the reality of our world are going to do something to the most critical foundational aspects of ourselves. That is our faith. So trials are what shake our foundations, and they're going to test those foundations. And here's the irony of this is all these things we're going to find that our faith is probably a little imperfect, probably a little bit lacking, and we are going to have to ask the Lord for wisdom and sort of fix this. So the irony is that we have trials. That's not the irony. Trials are going to test our faith. That's not the irony. But we're going to have to ask for wisdom to help us with our faith. And the way we ask is probably a little imperfect because we're asking with our cracked faith for better faith. So there is a marriage of faith and wisdom. And so know that when we face different trials, hard things at work, or maybe a sickness, or maybe loneliness, or maybe just an aloneness, or a grief, or difficulties at church, or something with your health, that all these things, all these trials are going to test the critical foundation of your faith. All right, so my illustration today is Dear Abby. So, Dear Abby, you know the story. Someone writes in with one of the trials that they're facing, and generally they're pretty complex. And then Dear Abby writes a response, and you can read about it in the paper or online. Now, here's the thing that I want to say today is I think, in my humble opinion, that Dear Abby is wrong, that she gives actual bad advice at least 51% of the time. So why is that? Because I think, in my opinion, she is a person without faith in the Lord. She's a person without the wisdom to the Lord, so she doesn't have the critical element to apply to these difficult trials. So I always imagine, as I'm screaming at the paper and yelling at her bad advice, I'm imagining a second article written by a person who is wise, who responds wisely to the same questions that she is asking. So almost like a two-column kind of a thing. The Dear Abby answering and frustrating me, and then somebody writing who actually has the wisdom that we're talking about here. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. So you're going to have trials, they're going to be difficult. And here's the question I would ask: what trial do you face? And so, specifically, if you had to write Dear Abby, what would you ask? What would you write to Dear Abby of the trial that's going on in your life? So you're asking, hey, I need some bullets of wisdom to shoot at this particular problem, and the most needful thing that you're asking for is wisdom. How do I, you know, strategize this? How do I shoot at this? Well, the answer here is you have to shoot at the right. You have to ask from the right guy. That is God. Well, what kind of a God? Let's drill down on that. It's a generous God that James is asking us to picture. It's a generous God, one who gives, for starters, who gives generously, and then who gives without reproach and doesn't just, kind of nail you with it. So he knows that we need it. The question is, do we know that we need it? I'm telling you, hey, you got to write a letter to the spiritual Dear Abby, and we all may say, hey, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good, I got this. James is saying, no, I want you to write to the good spiritual Dear Abby. Because why? You are in trials, no question about it. The trials are going to test your faith. Test my faith in what? In who you believe in. What kind of a God you have. Is he generous? Does he give? Does he give without reproach? So you're going to doubt. What he's saying is, don't doubt the kind of God that we ask. That is a good God and a generous God. So we need wisdom, but from who? We need wisdom from a good God. So we need to write our Dear Abby question to the wise God that gives generously and may give us some of that wisdom. So let's all write a little letter in our head today. What would we ask about in our lives? What trial are you facing? Number one. Number two, Lord, help us trust you that you're good. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.